The hidden cost of financial precision. Everything became sharper. Risks were measured more precisely. Decisions were optimized to the decimal. The system felt smarter than ever, yet something essential was quietly being lost. To understand why precision became dangerous, we need to look at how modern finance learned to trust exactness. As data expanded and models improved, uncertainty was gradually converted into calculation. What once felt ambiguous became measurable. What could be measured felt controllable. Precision promised safety. Institutions reorganized around this promise. Risk was decomposed into components. Exposure was mapped, ranked, and priced. Capital was allocated with surgical accuracy. Decisions that once relied on judgment were replaced by thresholds, tolerances, and outputs. The system did not guess. It calculated. This shift brought undeniable benefits. Efficiency improved. Losses became predictable. Comparisons were easier. Oversight scaled. Precision reduced waste and removed many forms of obvious excess. Finance appeared more disciplined, more scientific, more mature. But precision also changed behavior. When outcomes are finally measured, decisions cluster around the same conclusions. Similar data produces similar responses. What feels like control at the individual level becomes alignment at the system level. Variation fades. Risk management adjusted accordingly. Instead of preparing for broad uncertainty, focus narrowed to what could be modeled accurately. Scenarios became refined rather than expansive. Rare events were acknowledged, then discounted as statistically remote. Precision created confidence, but only within defined boundaries. Markets responded to this clarity. Assets priced efficiently attracted capital. Volatility appeared manageable. Predictable behavior reinforced belief in the models behind it. Stability felt earned through calculation rather than adaptability. Regulators embraced precision as well. Quantified exposure simplified oversight. Compliance became demonstrable. If risk was measured and capitalized, it was considered addressed. What fell outside measurement struggled to command attention. Early warnings appeared subtly. Small deviations produced outsized reactions. Liquidity shifted faster than models predicted. Correlations tightened unexpectedly. Each event was explainable, but none fit neatly into the precise frameworks that guided decision-making. This was the opening cost of precision. The system became extraordinarily good at managing what it could measure, and increasingly blind to what it could not. And in finance, what escapes measurement is often where the real danger begins. As precision took hold, it quietly reshaped how uncertainty was treated. Ambiguity was no longer something to sit with. It was something to eliminate. Decisions demanded clarity. Models rewarded exactness. Anything that could not be cleanly quantified was pushed aside as secondary. Institutions adapted quickly. Risk committees relied heavily on outputs that appeared definitive. Numbers carried authority. When models aligned, discussion shortened. Precision reduced friction, and friction was increasingly viewed as inefficiency. The system moved faster because fewer decisions required debate. This acceleration changed incentives. Strategies that fit neatly into models expanded. Exposures that complicated measurement were avoided, even if they reduced systemic alignment. Over time, portfolios grew more similar, shaped by the same assumptions and optimized by the same tools. Markets reinforced the trend. Assets with clear risk profiles attracted capital. Pricing tightened. Small differences were arbitraged away. Precision compressed margins and rewarded scale. Stability felt mathematical, rooted in efficiency rather than flexibility. Regulators leaned on the same clarity. Oversight became more standardized. Quantitative thresholds simplified supervision. If numbers stayed within bounds, concern faded. Precision created confidence that risk was under control. Even when behavior was changing underneath, early distortions surfaced quietly. When conditions shifted, reactions were abrupt. Liquidity vanished faster than expected. Correlations rose sharply, then normalized just as quickly. Precision had removed buffers, leaving little room for gradual adjustment. This was the deeper consequence. Precision reduced tolerance for uncertainty, but uncertainty never disappeared. It was displaced into moments of transition. where behavior changed faster than models could adapt. The system had traded resilience for exactness. It knew precisely how much loss it could tolerate, but less about how it would behave when conditions stopped matching its calculations. And when uncertainty finally forced its way back in, it did not arrive gradually. It arrived all at once, overwhelming the very precision designed to control it. The conflict emerges when precision meets a world that refuses to stay precise. A disruption appears that does not exceed limits, yet spreads faster than models anticipate. Numbers remain acceptable, but behavior changes abruptly. Institutions feel the tension immediately. Risk metrics stay within tolerance, yet liquidity tightens unexpectedly. Hedging strategies misfire as correlations move together. Decisions that once felt automatic now require interpretation. Precision offers answers, but only to questions reality is no longer asking. Because systems were optimized so tightly, adjustment becomes abrupt. Small changes trigger large responses. There is little room for gradual movement. When thresholds are crossed, action is sudden and synchronized. Precision turns into amplification. Markets reflect this instability. Prices jump rather than drift. Volatility arrives and bursts instead of waves. Participants struggle to distinguish signal from noise because everything appears mathematically justified. Even when outcomes feel wrong, regulators encounter familiar limits. Indicators remain clean, yet stress is visible in behavior. Acting challenges the assumption that quantified risk is controlled. Weighting risks allow an alignment to harden into disorder. Precision constrains discretion at the moment it is most needed. Public confidence weakens quietly. Losses are not catastrophic, but reactions feel extreme. If the system is so precise, why does it behave so sharply? Trust erodes not because calculations failed, but because they no longer explain what is happening. This is the core conflict. Precision narrows attention. It prepares systems for expected variation, not emergent behavior. When conditions shift outside the model's resolution, responses become mechanical rather than adaptive. The system discovers that knowing exactly where the edges are does not help when reality pushes everything toward those edges at once. Because precision is powerful, but only when the world remains predictable. And when it does not, precision can become a source of fragility rather than control. The reckoning arrives when the system recognizes that precision cannot replace judgment. Exact measurement brought clarity and efficiency, but it also compressed flexibility. What could be calculated felt safe. What could not was quietly ignored. In response, priorities begin to shift. Models remain essential, but they lose exclusive authority. Decision-making widens to include uncertainty, context, and behavior. Precision is treated as guidance, not destiny. The system relearns how to pause. Institutions adapt unevenly. Some continue refining models, believing resolution can solve fragility. Others introduce buffers that appear inefficient but provide space for adjustment. Risk management regains tolerance for ambiguity. Preparedness expands beyond thresholds. Markets absorb the change gradually. Volatility is no longer suppressed reflexively. Price movement is allowed to reveal information. Stability becomes less smooth, but more robust. Confidence returns, not because outcomes are precise, but because responses are adaptable. Regulators adjust as well. Oversight broadens beyond exact ratios into patterns of behavior. Stress is evaluated through interaction, not just exposure. Silence in data is treated cautiously. Precision becomes a tool, not a shield. Looking back, the hidden cost of financial precision becomes clear. Precision made systems efficient, but it narrowed their field of vision. It replaced humility with confidence in measurement. And when reality refused to conform, fragility followed. The enduring lesson is not to abandon precision, but to respect its limits. Uncertainty cannot be eliminated. It must be absorbed through diversity, judgment, and room to adapt. Because systems that are too precise have no room to move. Subscribe to join the journey. The hidden